Hello students, we are going to start with our content lecture series on the integumentary system, and throughout this unit we're also going to be talking about body membranes. Please pause the screen to complete your bell work for the day. You should be able to name the layers of the skin and understand a little bit about the function from the introductory video posted last week. Go ahead and pause your screen to complete the bell work. Membranes are part of our body, and they surround major organs, or they cover internal body structures and line body cavities, and they also are able to line the inner surfaces of our hollow organs such as our stomach. And this is important to our body for different reasons, which we will discuss throughout the chapter. Some of the structures include thin sheet-like structures, like I stated, throughout the body, and their functions are to cover and protect the body surface, such as the skin, cover internal organs, so we have multiple different body cavities, such as our thoracic cavity and our abdominopelvic cavity, and these are all located within a membrane of our body, and they can line these internal organs and function to serve in a little bit of protection. They can line body cavities, like I said, such as our other ones I just stated, our body cavities. They can line the inner surface of hollow organs, and our membranes and those structures often have specialized properties in their cell contents to allow for the functions of those certain hollow organs. They can also anchor organs to each other or to bones, such as connective tissues, and they can also secrete lubricating fluids that reduce friction during organ movement, such as the pounding of our heart or the expansion of our chest during the lungs rise and fall. So we have two main types of body membranes. One are epithelial membranes, which are made of epithelial tissue, and these are the examples of these are the serous membranes that help protect and reduce the friction from the movement of our organs, like I stated before, the heart or the lungs that move to help us function to the cardiac system of pumping the blood throughout the body, and to the respiratory system to help distribute oxygen in a way, kind of, into the lungs, and out of the lungs would become this carbon dioxide. We also have mucous membranes made of epithelial tissue, and these line body surfaces opening directly to the exterior, such as the esophagus and the nose and the mouth. And these mucous membranes have, like I said, specialized function of secreting mucus or other enzymes or other substances that are going to directly aid us in carrying out the functions that those important structures have within our body. And we also have the cutaneous membrane, which is known as our skin, which we'll be diving into a lot in this chapter because that is what the entire integumentary system is about. Connective tissue membranes, such as our fluid sacs that surround our joints, help us protect from the movement that we make in our skeletal muscles. Through the contracting of these muscles, they move the bones, and we don't want bones rubbing against bones. So these connective tissue membranes help to lubricate that joint to prohibit us from having bone-to-bone exposure, which would be very painful. Okay, so now we're going to be diving into a little bit of serous membranes, which, if you remember, is a type of epithelial membrane within our body. Serous membranes have two layers, and you can think of this as a balloon filled with water surrounding an organ. So we have the two layers, one of them being the visceral layer and one of them being the parietal layer. Visceral means that it is going to be the one touching the organ. It is closest to the organ in the body, and this is also a descriptive term that we constantly use within science and medicine to say that it is closer to the internal organs of the body. So visceral is going to be touching the organ, whereas the parietal layer is going to be the wall of the body cavity, and it is going to be the external most cavity in the body, or in the serous membrane. So two examples of these types of membranes are the thoracic cavity, which has the pleural sac that surrounds the lungs, and the abdominal cavity, which has the peritoneum, which surrounds all of the digestive organs in our abdominal regions. And the other type of epithelial membrane was the mucous membranes. They are going to secrete mucus, which is going to help moisten, lubricate, and protect us from foreign pathogens. And we also have them within the respiratory, digestive, reproductive, and urinary tracts. So here is an example of the mucous membrane. You can see this picture below. We have these ciliated cells, and remember that cells come together to form tissues. These cells are examples in the stomach, and these ciliated cells are going to have the function of producing mucus. And then we also have goblet cells, which also are going to help with mucus production, and then these together are going to help us carry out functions of our stomach. And our esophagus, because as food goes down, we also need these cells to help protect us. Now we have connective tissue, which forms our synovial membranes. These synovial membranes don't have epithelial cells, but instead they are going to be capsules filled with fluid that line joints to lubricate movement. They also line the bursa sacs, which is an example of a type of joint or a type of synovial membrane in our joints. They are smooth and slick, and they secrete synovial fluid, which is going to aid in the lubrication of the movement from our joints, or you can say that it's going to reduce friction between opposing bones. So here you can see a synovial joint where we have two bones that are coming together to form a joint throughout our body, and then we have that fluid-filled joint, synovial fluid-filled sac, which is an example of a synovial membrane. Alright, now here we are going to introduce the cutaneous membrane, which we're going to be talking about the most of this chapter, considering we are speaking of the integumentary system. Functions of the cutaneous membrane are to protect against microbes, UV, harmful chemicals, cuts, and tears. So it's going to separate our internal environment from the external environment that we all live in. We also have talked a bit about this in homeostasis, how we have the function to regulate temperature through our integumentary system. This is through the production of sweat, and that would help us regulate in hot temperatures, but also our cutaneous membrane has a thick layer of adipose tissue, which is below the lowest layer of the skin, and that's going to help insulate us in cold times in order to protect us from the cold environments as well. So not only do we have the ability to regulate the homeostasis of high temperatures, but also to regulate the homeostasis of low temperatures. Another function of our skin is we have the ability to sense touch, pressure, pain, and temperature. And we can take all of these external stimuli and report that information to the brain through various types of receptors that are present throughout the layers of our skin. Another function of our skin is to have metabolic functions such as the synthesis of vitamin D, which we are able to produce from the exposure to sunlight. Please pause your screen and complete today's exit ticket. In your weekly exit ticket, remember these are always due on Friday. In order to earn complete points for your exit ticket and BellWorks, you must complete every day of questions that are asked. Before I leave this lecture, however, I did want to let you guys know this is the picture of our diagram for this chapter, and you will be expected to memorize this in preparation for our exam. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you all soon.